Before people broke your heart, they first became your source of happiness. One message made you smile, one silence made you restless, one person's mood decided your whole day. And slowly, without noticing, your peace moved from the hands of Allah into the hands of people. But listen carefully. You were not created to beg for happiness from anyone. You were created to return your heart to the one who never changes, never leaves, and never forgets you. These are 7 lessons that will free you from needing people to be happy. 1. Stop making people your source of peace. The first lesson is to understand that people were never created to be the foundation of your happiness. People have their own moods, problems, weaknesses, and changing hearts. One day they may speak to you with love, and the next day they may become distant without even explaining why. If your whole peace depends on how someone replies, how someone treats you, or how much attention they give you, then your heart will always remain unstable. This is why so many people feel broken, not because life is impossible, but because they have placed their happiness in hands that were never meant to carry it. Love people, respect people, and be kind to them, but do not make them your source of peace. Your heart belongs to Allah first. When Allah becomes your source, people can disappoint you, misunderstand you, or even leave you, but they cannot destroy your inner calm. True happiness begins when you stop needing people to stay the same for you to feel okay. 2. Learn to enjoy your own company. The second lesson is to understand that being alone is not a punishment. Sometimes Allah gives you distance from people because your heart has become too dependent on their presence. You may feel empty when no one messages you, restless when no one checks on you, or unwanted when you have to sit by yourself. But this is where healing begins. A person who cannot enjoy their own company will often accept weak love, fake friendship, and painful attention just to avoid loneliness. That is why you must learn to sit with yourself without feeling broken. Use your quiet moments to remember Allah, improve your character, understand your emotions, and rebuild your peace. When you become comfortable alone, you stop chasing people just to feel complete. You begin to realize that your worth was never reduced by someone's absence. Being alone with Allah can give your heart a strength that being surrounded by people never could. 3. Do not beg for attention. The third lesson is to stop begging people to notice your pain, your loyalty, or your value. If someone truly cares about you, you will not have to keep reminding them to treat you with respect. You will not have to send long messages explaining why their silence hurts. You will not have to chase basic kindness from a heart that keeps making you feel unwanted. Begging for attention slowly weakens your self-respect, because every time you plead for someone to care, you teach your heart that love must be forced. But real love, real friendship, and real respect do not need to be dragged out of people. Sometimes Allah allows someone's distance to show you the truth clearly. Their silence may hurt, but it also reveals where you stand. So stop running after people who are comfortable watching you suffer. Step back with dignity. Protect your heart. The right people will not make you beg to matter. 4. Keep expectations low and faith high. The fourth lesson is to understand that many wounds do not come from what people did, but from what you expected them to do. You expected them to understand your heart the way you understood theirs. You expected them to remember your kindness. You expected them to protect your feelings because you protected theirs. You expected them to show up for you because you were always there for them. And when they failed to do that, your heart felt betrayed. But the painful truth is this: not everyone carries the same heart as you. Some people can receive your loyalty and still forget you. Some people can know your pain and still repeat the same behavior. Some people can benefit from your kindness and still make you feel like you did nothing for them. This is why depending too much on people creates silent suffering. You keep waiting for them to become what your heart hoped they would be, but they keep showing you who they really are. This does not mean you should become cold. It does not mean you should stop loving people or stop doing good. It means you must stop expecting people to repay your goodness perfectly. Do good for the sake of Allah. Be kind because your character is beautiful, not because you are waiting for people to reward you with the same energy. When your intention is connected to Allah, people's reactions lose power over your peace. Keep your expectations low from people, because people are weak, forgetful, emotional, and limited. They may love you and still disappoint you. They may care about you and still fail to understand you. They may promise you something and still break it when their own desires become stronger. If your happiness depends on everyone treating you fairly, you will live tired. But keep your faith high in Allah, because Allah never forgets what people ignore. Allah saw the tears you wiped before anyone entered the room. Allah heard the prayers you made when your voice was shaking. Allah knows the sacrifices you never announced, the patience you never explained, and the pain you carried while still smiling at others. People may not value your softness, but Allah knows how much strength it took to remain kind. People may not appreciate your loyalty, but Allah recorded every sincere action. People may leave after receiving your love, but Allah never leaves the one who turns back to Him. The happiest heart is not the heart that expects nothing because it is hopeless. It is the heart that expects less from creation because it trusts the Creator more. This is a powerful difference. You are not giving up on life. You are giving your heart back to the one who can actually protect it. So when people change, do not collapse. When they forget you, do not lose yourself. When they fail to understand you, do not keep begging for emotional justice. Take the lesson, protect your peace, and raise your hands to Allah. Say, Ya Allah, do not let my heart depend on anyone more than it depends on you. Because when your faith becomes stronger than your expectations, you stop being controlled by disappointment. You can love people without becoming their prisoner. You can help people without waiting for applause. You can forgive people without giving them the power to hurt you again. Expect less from people, but never expect less from Allah. That is how your heart becomes peaceful, mature, and free. 5. Build a life that does not collapse when someone leaves. The fifth lesson is to build a life so strong with Allah, purpose, and self-respect that one person's absence does not destroy your whole heart. Many people suffer deeply because they make one person the center of everything. Their mood depends on that person. Their smile depends on that person. Their routine, confidence, peace, and even their future plans depend on that person staying exactly the same. Then when that person changes, leaves, becomes cold, or stops caring, their whole life feels empty. This is a dangerous way to live. No human being should become the pillar that holds your entire happiness. People are not permanent enough for that. People have their own choices, weaknesses, emotions, and tests. Someone can love you today and become distant tomorrow. Someone can promise to stay and still walk away. Someone can make you feel special for a season and then become the reason your heart feels heavy. If your whole life is built around them, their absence will feel like your world has ended. But your world should never end because one person left it. Allah did not create you only to wait for someone's message, someone's approval, or someone's presence. You have a soul to protect, prayers to strengthen, character to build, dreams to work on, health to take care of, and a purpose that is bigger than any single relationship. When you forget this, you start giving people a place in your life that only Allah should have. You begin to think, if they leave, I cannot be happy. But this is not love. This is emotional dependence. A peaceful person builds their life in many strong directions. They build their connection with Allah, so when people leave, they still have a place to return with their pain. They build discipline, so their day does not collapse just because someone ignored them. They build self-respect, so they do not beg to be chosen by someone who keeps making them feel unwanted. They build knowledge, skills, health, and good habits, so their identity does not become trapped inside one person's behavior. This is how you become emotionally free. Imagine a person who only has one door in their life. If that door closes, they feel trapped. But a person who has many doors does not panic when one door shuts. They still have prayer. They still have family or good people. They still have goals. They still have work to improve. They still have quiet time with Allah. They still have themselves. Their heart may hurt, but their life does not stop. This is the kind of strength you must build. Do not wait until someone leaves to start finding yourself again. Start now. Build a morning routine that does not depend on who texts you. Build a relationship with the Quran that does not depend on who loves you. Build a peaceful mind that does not break every time someone becomes distant. Build your body, your skills, your income, your character, your knowledge, your worship, and your emotional maturity. These things will hold you when people fail to hold you. And understand this clearly. Building a life that does not collapse does not mean you stop loving people. It means you love people from a healthier place. You can care about them without making them your oxygen. You can enjoy their presence without becoming destroyed by their absence. You can appreciate love without turning it into a cage. You can miss someone and still continue your life with dignity. This is maturity. Some people enter your life and become a beautiful part of it, but they should never become the whole of it. When someone becomes your whole life, you lose balance. You start ignoring your own needs. You stop growing. You stop praying with focus. You stop working on your future. You stop noticing the blessings around you because your eyes are fixed on one person. Then slowly, your happiness becomes a prisoner of their actions. That is why Allah sometimes allows distance, not always to punish you, but to wake you up, to show you that you were becoming too attached, to remind you that your heart was leaning too heavily on someone who could never carry it forever. Sometimes the pain of someone leaving is the beginning of your return to yourself and to Allah. So if someone has left, changed, or disappointed you, do not let that be the end of your story. Let it become the moment you rebuild stronger. Cry if you need to, but do not stop living. Feel the pain, but do not worship the pain. Miss them, but do not make their absence your identity. You are still alive. Allah is still with you. Your future is still open. Your peace can still return. Start with small steps. Fix your salah. Clean your space. Take care of your body. Read something that makes your mind stronger. Spend time with people who bring peace, not confusion. Work on one goal every day. Stop checking whether they came back, and start checking whether you are becoming better. Because the more you build yourself, the less power people have to break you. One day, you will look back and realize that the person you thought you could not live without was only one chapter, not the whole book. You will realize that Allah did not let them leave to destroy you, but to teach you where your real foundation should be. You will realize that your happiness was never meant to depend on someone who could walk away. Build your life on Allah, not on people. Build it on purpose, not attachment. Build it on self-respect, not fear of being alone. Then even if someone leaves, you may feel sadness, but you will not lose yourself. You may feel pain, but you will not lose your direction. You may miss them, but you will still stand. And that is real freedom. Text: accept that some people are lessons, not destinations. The sixth lesson is to accept that not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay in your life forever. Some people are not your final home. They are not your safe place. They are not your lifelong peace. Sometimes they are only a lesson Allah allows you to experience, so your heart can finally wake up. This is difficult to accept, because when we love someone, trust someone, or become attached to someone, we often imagine them as a permanent part of our story. We think, this person will always be here. This person understands me. This person would never hurt me. This person is different. Then slowly, their actions begin to reveal something else. They become careless with your feelings. They disappear when you need them. They take your kindness but give you confusion. They make you question your worth, while you keep trying harder to keep the connection alive. And this is where many hearts get trapped. They keep trying to turn a lesson into a destination. They keep forcing a person to become what Allah already showed they are not. They keep holding on to someone who was only meant to teach them self-respect, boundaries, patience, wisdom, and emotional strength. But because the heart is attached, it refuses to learn. It only wants the person back. It only wants the old feeling back. It only wants the relationship to become beautiful again, even if the reality keeps causing pain. But sometimes Allah does not send people to stay. Sometimes He allows people to expose what is still weak inside you. Some people reveal that you forgive too quickly without seeing change. Some people reveal that you give too much to those who give you too little. Some people reveal that you are afraid of being alone, so you tolerate disrespect just to keep a connection. Some people reveal that your happiness depends too much on being chosen by others. These lessons hurt, but they are not meaningless. A person may break your trust, But through that pain, you learn not to trust words without actions. A person may leave you suddenly, but through that absence, you learn that Allah was always your real support. A person may ignore your feelings, but through that wound, you learn to stop explaining your heart to those who do not fear Allah in how they treat it. A person may make you feel unwanted, but through that rejection, you learn that your worth was never in their hands. This is why not every loss is a punishment. Sometimes what you call a loss is actually protection. Sometimes Allah removes people because they were slowly damaging your peace. Sometimes He creates distance because your heart was getting attached to someone who could not guide you closer to Him. Sometimes He allows the truth to appear because you were too loyal to an illusion. You were loving the version of them you hoped they would become, while ignoring the version they kept showing you. A lesson becomes painful when you refuse to learn it. If someone has repeatedly shown you that they do not respect your boundaries, the lesson is not to explain yourself for the 100th time. The lesson is to step back. If someone only values you when they need something, the lesson is not to give more until they appreciate you. The lesson is to stop confusing being useful with being loved. If someone keeps hurting you and then acting normal, the lesson is not to pretend everything is fine. The lesson is to protect your heart with wisdom. Islam does not teach you to hate people. It teaches you to see people clearly. You can forgive someone and still understand they are not good for your peace. You can make dua for someone and still not give them access to your heart again. You can wish someone well and still walk away from their behavior. Forgiveness does not mean returning to the same place where you kept being wounded. Sometimes forgiveness means you release the anger, but you also accept the lesson. This is maturity. Some people are like a test paper. Once the test is over, you do not keep carrying the paper everywhere. You take the lesson, you grow, and you move forward. But many people keep carrying old pain because they are still asking, why did they do this to me? Instead, ask a stronger question. What did this teach me about myself? What did Allah want me to notice? Where was I depending too much? Where did I ignore the signs? Where did I silence my own heart just to keep someone else close? These questions can transform pain into wisdom. Maybe that person taught you that attention is not the same as love. Maybe they taught you that not everyone who speaks softly has a sincere heart. Maybe they taught you that your kindness needs boundaries. Maybe they taught you that if you do not value yourself, you will keep accepting less than what your soul deserves. Maybe they taught you that peace is more important than attachment. And maybe most importantly, they taught you to return to Allah, because sometimes people break the places in your heart that only Allah can heal. You may have cried because of them, but those tears brought you back to prayer. You may have felt abandoned by them, but that loneliness pushed you to speak to Allah in a way you had not spoken before. You may have lost them, but in that loss you found a stronger version of yourself. That is why you must stop seeing every painful person as the end of your happiness. Some people are only mirrors. They show you where you are still wounded. Some people are alarms. They wake you up before you lose yourself completely. Some people are doors. They close so Allah can guide you towards something cleaner, safer, and better for your soul. Do not stay angry forever at the person who taught you a lesson. Anger keeps you tied to them. Bitterness keeps their memory alive inside your heart. Instead, learn what needed to be learned, then free yourself. Say, Alhamdulillah, now I understand. Not because what they did was right, but because Allah used even that pain to grow you. The strongest people are not those who were never hurt. The strongest people are those who stopped turning every wound into a prison. They allowed the pain to teach them, but they did not allow it to define them. They became softer with Allah, wiser with people, and stronger with themselves. So when someone leaves, do not immediately think, I was not enough. Sometimes they left because their role in your story was finished. When someone changes, do not immediately blame yourself. Sometimes Allah is showing you what your heart was too attached to see. When someone hurts you, do not immediately harden your heart. Sometimes the lesson is not to become cold, but to become wiser. You are allowed to care. You are allowed to feel sadness. You are allowed to miss the good moments. But you are not allowed to destroy yourself, trying to keep someone Allah is teaching you to outgrow. Some people were never meant to be your destination. They were the road that taught you how to walk with more dignity. They were the pain that taught you how to pray with more sincerity. They were the disappointment that taught you how to stop depending on people for happiness. They were the silence that taught you to listen to Allah more deeply. Accept this, and your heart will become lighter. Because once you understand that some people are lessons, you stop begging them to become your future. You stop reopening doors Allah already closed. You stop chasing explanations from people who already gave you the answer through their actions. You stop asking why they did not stay, and you begin asking how you can grow from what happened. This is how healing begins. Not by pretending it did not hurt, but by refusing to let the hurt waste your life. Not by hating them, but by learning from them. Not by closing your heart forever, but by protecting it better next time. So take the lesson, keep the wisdom, leave the pain with Allah, and move forward with peace. 7. Attach your heart to Allah, not approval. The seventh lesson is to understand that one of the deepest forms of freedom is when your heart no longer lives for people's approval. Many people are not truly unhappy because life is empty. They are unhappy because they are always waiting to be accepted, praised, noticed, chosen, respected, or understood by people. Their peace rises when someone appreciates them, and their peace falls when someone ignores them. Their confidence becomes strong when people clap for them, and weak when people criticize them. This is a painful way to live, because the opinions of people are never stable. Today they may praise you, tomorrow they may misunderstand you. Today they may call you good, tomorrow they may judge you for protecting your peace. If your heart is attached to approval, you will never feel free. You will keep changing yourself to please people who are also changing every day. You will stay quiet when you should speak. You will say yes when your soul is tired. You will hide your pain because you fear being called dramatic. You will tolerate disrespect because you fear being disliked. Slowly you will lose the real version of yourself just to maintain a version people can accept. But a believer was not created to be a prisoner of people's opinions. Your heart was created to know Allah, love Allah, trust Allah, and return to Allah. When your heart is attached to Allah, people's approval becomes small. You still respect people. You still behave with kindness. You still care about your character. But you no longer need everyone to agree with you in order to feel peaceful. You no longer break down because someone misunderstood your intention. You no longer chase people to prove that your heart is good. Allah already knows. Allah knows the truth behind your silence. Allah knows why you walked away. Allah knows what you tolerated before you finally became tired. Allah knows how many times you forgave someone who never apologized properly. Allah knows how many nights you cried without telling anyone. Allah knows the pain you carried while still smiling in front of people. So why should your peace depend on people who only see a small part of your story? This is where strength begins. When you live for approval, every person becomes your judge. Their words control your emotions. Their silence creates fear. Their distance makes you question yourself. Their rejection feels like the end of your worth. But when you live for Allah, your heart becomes steady. You begin to ask different questions. Not, do people like me? But is Allah pleased with me? Not, did they praise me? But was my intention sincere? Not, did they understand me? But, did I act with honesty, patience, and dignity? This shift changes everything. Because people can love you for the wrong reasons, and people can dislike you for the right reasons. Some people will only approve of you when you serve their comfort. They will like you when you are easy to control. They will praise you when you never say no. They will call you kind when you let them cross your boundaries. But the moment you protect your peace, they may call you selfish. The moment you stop explaining yourself, they may call you changed. The moment you choose Allah over their expectations, they may become upset. Let them. You cannot spend your life trying to look good in the eyes of people who benefit from your weakness. If someone only loves the version of you that has no boundaries, then their approval is not love, it is control. If someone only respects you when you obey their every mood, then their respect is not sincere, it is convenience. If someone only stays when you keep losing yourself, then their presence is not peace, it is a test. Attach your heart to Allah, and you will stop fearing these losses. You will understand that not every person leaving is a tragedy. Sometimes it is mercy. Not every person misunderstanding you is a problem. Sometimes it is protection. Not every person criticizing you deserves an explanation. Sometimes silence is better for your soul. When Allah knows your truth, you do not need to keep begging people to believe it. This does not mean you become arrogant. It does not mean you ignore advice. A believer should remain humble, correct mistakes, accept sincere reminders, and improve their character. But there is a difference between accepting guidance and becoming addicted to approval. Guidance brings you closer to Allah. Approval addiction makes you dependent on people. Guidance gives you clarity. Approval addiction gives you anxiety. Guidance helps you grow. Approval addiction makes you perform a fake version of yourself. Ask yourself honestly, how many times have you made yourself unhappy just to keep someone else satisfied? How many times have you hidden your real feelings because you feared their reaction? How many times have you over-explained your heart to someone who already decided to misunderstand you? How many times have you sacrificed your peace for people who still found something to complain about? This is not sabr, this is self-abandonment. Sabr is patience with faith, wisdom, and dignity. Sabr does not mean handing your heart to people and allowing them to break it again and again. Sabr does not mean living without boundaries. Sabr does not mean depending on people's moods to decide whether you are worthy today. Real sabr is when you remain connected to Allah even when people disappoint you. Real sabr is when you choose what is right, even if people do not clap for you. Real sabr is when you protect your heart without becoming cruel. The more you seek approval from people, the more tired your soul becomes. Because every person wants something different from you. One person wants you softer, another wants you stronger. One wants you silent, another wants you available. One wants you to forgive everything, another wants you to explain everything. If you try to satisfy everyone, you will become empty inside. You will forget who you are. You will live like a person constantly performing, constantly adjusting, constantly afraid of losing someone's good opinion. But when Allah becomes enough, your heart breathes again. You stop needing people to validate your pain before you respect it. You stop needing people to accept your boundaries before you keep them. You stop needing people to notice your goodness before you continue doing good. You stop needing people to understand your journey before you keep walking. You become calm because your heart is no longer standing in front of creation with an empty bowl, begging for love, attention, and approval. You begin to live from fullness, not neediness. And this is the secret of true happiness. The happiest people are not the ones everyone loves. No one is loved by everyone. Even the best people are criticized. Even sincere people are misunderstood. Even kind people are taken for granted. The happiest people are those who know where their worth comes from. Their worth is not built on compliments. Their peace is not built on attention. Their identity is not built on being liked. Their heart is anchored in Allah. When your heart is anchored in Allah, rejection does not destroy you. It may hurt, but it does not define you. Criticism does not control you. It may teach you, but it does not own you. Silence from people does not make you feel worthless. It may feel uncomfortable, but it does not decide your value. You become strong because your foundation is no longer human approval. Your foundation is faith. This is why you must return your heart to Allah every day. In salah, return it. In dua, return it. In silence, return it. When people ignore you, return it. When people praise you, return it. When people misunderstand you, return it. When people leave you, return it. Say to your heart, you belong to Allah before you belong to anyone else. Remind yourself that people are part of life, but they are not the source of life. Their love is a blessing, but it is not your God. Their approval may feel good, but it is not your purpose. Their rejection may hurt, but it is not your end. Live in a way that Allah sees sincerity in you, even if people see nothing. Speak truth with kindness, even if people twist your words. Keep your heart clean, even if people do not appreciate it. Walk away from harm with dignity, even if people call you cold. Do good quietly, even if no one thanks you. Protect your peace, even if someone becomes angry because they lost access to your weakness. This is not hardness. This is spiritual maturity. A mature heart does not hate people. It simply stops worshipping their reactions. It does not stop loving. It stops depending. It does not stop caring. It stops collapsing. It does not become cold. It becomes connected to the one who never abandons it. So if you want to live happy without depending on anyone, stop asking people to be the proof of your worth. Stop measuring your value by who stays, who leaves, who texts, who praises, who understands, or who chooses you. People are not the scale of your soul. Allah gave you value before anyone knew your name. Allah heard you before anyone listened. Allah saw you before anyone noticed. Allah sustained you before anyone supported you. Your happiness begins when this truth enters your heart. You can love people and still not depend on their approval. You can be kind and still not beg for acceptance. You can forgive and still protect your peace. You can be misunderstood and still remain calm, because Allah knows what people do not know. You can be alone and still feel held because Allah is near. That is freedom. When your heart attaches to Allah, people can no longer control your inner world. They may affect your feelings for a moment, but they cannot own your peace. They may disappoint you, but they cannot empty you. They may leave, but they cannot take Allah from you. They may forget your goodness, but Allah never forgets. So attach your heart to Allah, not approval. Let people think what they want, but do not lose yourself trying to manage every opinion. Let people come and go, but do not let their movement decide your worth. Let people misunderstand you, but do not abandon your truth. Let people be people, and let Allah be enough. Because when Allah is enough for your heart, you no longer live hungry for validation. 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 You become peaceful from the inside. And that peace is something no person can give you, and no person can take away. And in the end, remember this: the happiest life is not the life where everyone stays, everyone understands you, and everyone treats you perfectly. The happiest life is the life where your heart no longer collapses when people change. Love people, but do not lose yourself in them. Be kind, but do not become dependent. Forgive, but do not keep handing your peace back to those who broke it. Your heart belongs to Allah before it belongs to anyone else. So if people leave, let them leave with peace. If they misunderstand you, let Allah know your truth. If they stop choosing you, choose your dignity, your faith, and your inner calm. Because when Allah becomes enough for your heart, no absence can empty you, no rejection can define you, and no human being can control your happiness again.